Okay, so what do you think is our oldest, most fundamental human technology? It's not the wheel, it's not fire. It's communication. It's the one tool that took us from being just another species trying to get by to, well, the dominant force on this planet. So let's dive into how this ancient skill is still the absolute key to everything we do today.
To really get a handle on communication, we've got to go back, I mean way back, to a time when getting your message across wasn't about closing a deal. It was about, literally staying alive.
For the vast majority of our existence, we weren't at the top of the food chain, not even close. For over 200,000 years, we were just trying not to become lunch. We weren't the biggest, we weren't the fastest, and we definitely weren't the strongest. But then, around 70,000 years ago, something incredible happened.
And that something was what's known as the cognitive revolution. As the historian Yuval Noah Harari explains it, this was a period where our brains basically got a major upgrade. We could suddenly think abstractly and, this is the crucial part, use complex language. This wasn't just about shouting "lion" anymore, it was about being able to say, hey, that lion we saw by the river yesterday, it's probably going to be back around sunset, so let's set a trap. That ability to share complex ideas, that was our new superpower. I mean, think about it in today's terms, right? To hunt a mammoth, our ancestors couldn't just wing it. No way. They basically had to hold a project kickoff meeting around the fire. They had to create a task list, figure out who was doing what, and lay out a clear roadmap for success. And the one thing that made all of that possible was this brand new skill: communication. All right, let's fast forward from the savannah to, well, right now. We're not hunting mammoths anymore, but we're still relying on that exact same skill for our own kind of survival in this crazy modern world. And here's a trap that, honestly, I think we all fall into. We communicate constantly, right? It's like breathing. So we just assume we're good at it. But I absolutely love this running analogy. Look, I can run for a bus if I have to. But does that mean I'm ready to run a marathon tomorrow? Of course not. It's the exact same thing with communication. Just because we can talk doesn't for a second mean we're actually communicating effectively.
And the crazy thing is, we're running this invisible communication marathon every single day, whether we realize it or not. Pitching yourself for a new job, that's a marathon. Presenting your work to the whole team, that's a marathon. Defending your strategy to a skeptical client, definitely a marathon. Even just trying to convince your mom you're not hungry. These are all high-stakes moments that live or die based on how well you communicate.
But here's the problem. Nobody ever really taught us how to run this marathon, did they? So most of the time, we're just winging it. We're communicating on autopilot. And that is when things go completely off the rails. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? That sinking feeling. You've put in the work, you've prepped, your intentions are good, but the message it doesn't land. So what is actually going wrong in those moments?
Well, it sounds a lot like this. You present this bold new idea that you see as total innovation, but your boss just hears risk and cost. You dive deep into all the cool technical details, but your team just needed a simple big-picture overview. You try to fire everyone up with a motivational story, but what they really needed was for you to get a specific roadblock out of their way. You list every single amazing feature of your product, when all the client wanted to know was, does it solve my one problem? It is so frustrating, and it happens all the time.
Okay, so it's really easy to just chalk all this up to bad luck, or to think that some people are just natural communicators. But that is just not true. There is a system behind all this chaos. Here's the big idea, the key takeaway from all of this. Communication is not magic. It isn't just guesswork, it's a process. And the great thing about a process is that it can be understood, it can be managed, and it can absolutely be improved. And hey, this isn't some brand new idea either. We're talking way back in 1948. A political scientist named Harold Lasswell basically laid the groundwork for all of this. He showed that you can deconstruct any communication, anything at all, into its core components. And that was a total game changer, because it turned communication from this mysterious art form into a science that anyone can manage. So what are these components? Well, think of them like Legos. They're the 5 essential building blocks you can use to consciously design any piece of communication you want, whether it's a quick email or a career-defining presentation. And here they are. It's really this simple. Every single time you communicate, these 5 things are in play: a speaker, an audience, a message, a channel, and feedback. So let's just quickly break down what each one really means. And when you look at it this way, it's so straightforward but incredibly powerful.
The speaker? That's you, the person who has a goal. The audience? They're the people you need to reach to achieve that goal, and you have to remember they have their own needs. The message? That's the bridge. That's the thing you build to connect your goal with their needs. The channel is just how you send it: an email, a speech, a video call. And finally, feedback. That's the all-important response from your audience that tells you if you actually pulled it off.
So here's the bottom line. This is what it's all about. When you stop just communicating on autopilot and you start consciously thinking about these 5 building blocks, your communication completely transforms. It stops being random and becomes predictable. It stops being unconscious and becomes deliberate or conscious. And most importantly, it stops being hit or miss and it becomes truly, deeply effective.
Look, communication is the skill that took our entire species from just surviving to literally shaping the world around us. It's the tool we use to build relationships, to build careers, to build companies, and by understanding these fundamental blocks, you get to be the architect. So the only question left is, what will you build with your words?